Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Virgo channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to my channel, I'm going to do a general message for Virgo. Know that energy is fluid. Roles can be reversed. Just the message as it best resonates with you. Also know on this channel and all my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading. I look at everything, but we take time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, see how they play out as karmic themes. Because first of all, there's so much more than just what your person did do, what they're going to do. Who wow, because a lot of times you're in a karmic connection and they're doing the same thing that they always do. We want to know why. Why? And we want to know why we're connected to someone that keeps us ruminating, that makes us kind of feel stuck. It makes us angry, right? Again, karmic connections do that. But the thing is, there's many different realities that play out at one time. Your level of consciousness determines your perception. So when you have wounds, we kind of see what we look for. And so if we have wounds that haven't been healed, we tend to see things through that lens. And of course, the universe will always bring us people trigger those things within inside of us. And the reason why is because the whole point of why we're down here in the physical form is to learn that there's no separation from ourselves and our creator, really, and the universe. We're all the same energy. It's all the same energy. We're connected to each other through this energy. We're connected to God and every living thing on the planet that has a spirit, and that spirit is the energy of unconditional love. It's the same energy as the universe. That's when we are open to receiving. That's our God-given energy. However, we're born into families and have experiences that throw our energy off, and sometimes we have to live in a connection with someone that's really imbalanced. And even when we get out of that connection, we still have the habits and the behaviorisms. And again, we don't want to create the same thing, but a lot of times we do. So it's all about healing. Everything that the universe brings to you, whether it's a person, a situation, or experience, it's all to help you heal. So when you keep experiencing experiences that are fucked up, and I'm going to say it just like that because they don't make sense, well, after a while, it makes you feel a certain way about yourself. And that's the most damaging. All right. So anything of any importance or relevance to the channel, you know where to find it. It's in the description box. If you like the video, give it a like, comment, be interactive. You know that I always start with looking at your energy first and what you need, whether it's the next few days, weeks, months. Energy has no time. I notice when I get a reading, the shit doesn't happen until like 8 months later or 7 months later, unless you're in a karmic connection where you're in a karmic loop where the same situations continue to happen over and over and over again. So it doesn't really matter when you get the reading because the reading is always the same. And the reason why is because you have to heal it. Now, a karmic contract would be that type of connection when you're connected to someone and it's just the same thing that loops over and over and over and over and over again. They're the worst type of relationships. They're always codependent. One person emotionally is pretty much being abused or ignored, and the other person is so detached and avoidant and just wounded. Both parties are so wounded. All right, so hopefully that we're not going to see that today. We're going to see happy energy, hopefully, because that can actually happen. Now I like to pull them and then read them, separate them, read them together. And this is just about you. Nobody else. And so the advice sometimes is to help you heal, like a situation that's happening, or explain a karmic cycle that you're in, or, just bring in certain energy. I'm going to pull just 3 of those. We'll put these on the side and pull them again later. All right, let's see. Practice, plants, sacred nature. A lot of grounding. You are the boss of your life. We've been getting this a lot. You are the boss of your life. You hire, fire, and promote accordingly. Being your beautiful, authentic self is the greatest contribution to make within the world. And take a walk in nature today and consciously connect with Mother Earth. And then we're going to read the wounds, which is projection wounds, hypervigilance wounds, and forgiveness blockage. Wow. So like whenever I look at the wounds first, hypervigilance pops out to me. Why? Because again, you might be someone that's, I just tap into other people's energy really easily. And that's a survival mechanism. And the survival mechanism, because you didn't have a good connection to Mother Earth, we see so much like grounding energy here, where Spirit's saying like you need to connect more to the earth. Why? Because when we don't have a good connection to our mom, what happens is that we then tend to not feel as secure within ourselves, right? And I know that because we have forgiveness block. We only tend to get these blockages when there's real severe like pain and wounds. And so when we see that within like the root chakra, which is what I consider, you know, the connection to mother and father and ancestral and the physical body, the physical world, all physical elements of the physical world. So your money would be affected, your security, anything like that. And because what does a mother do? Mother nurtures, a mother like helps ground and guide and love. And so this is all saying like just get a better connection to your physical body right now, because we can't go back in time to heal wounds with mother. How we heal the wounds with mother or father, any structure, it doesn't really matter, it's ancestral, is to become strong within ourselves. The way that we become strong within ourselves is to connect to the higher self. The higher self is the God part of self, which is when we're in nature. Well, that's when we're going to be at our most calm. That's when we begin to vibrate with nature. When we're out in nature, we ground. We become one with the universe. We can meditate with the universe. And why I say that is because the higher self is that God part of self, which gives you that strength. It's not about being hyper vigilant and tapping into other people's energy, tapping into your own energy, because only in the now guidance. So you don't have control over what someone else is going to do. You can only perceive what they're going to do. But if you grew up in an environment that didn't make you feel safe, hypervigilance is that. And so again, then you're going to be tapped into, if you're tapping into other people, then you're going to do more what you feel they want than what you want. That it's a survival mechanism. You don't get good results when you're hypervigilant. And because if you're still hypervigilant, it means that there's wounds there that need to be integrated, and it'll affect relationships. It's going to affect that. And so what Spirit is saying is it's already affected relationships, because you're the CEO of your life, and there's certain people in your life that don't respect you, that don't treat you the way that you feel that they should treat you. And it could be friends and it could be relatives. And I understand the reason why is because when you're hypervigilant, it's because you don't feel strong within yourself. You're still in survival mode. And so why everything is about grounding, it's about getting back into your body. It's about being in nature. It's about being present. It's about being in the moment, not about what might happen, what could happen, what did happen. And trauma does that. So when we keep reliving karmic cycles, which Spirit's saying, you have the opportunity to break a karmic cycle. That's why you're getting this. But understand it's going to require forgiveness too. Because what keeps us ruminating? When we're mad, but every time you ruminate, you're not present anymore. And so forgiveness is a thing. It's like it's the biggest block. It's actually a spiritual walk. So it shows up as holding on to the past hurts, resentment that blocks emotional healing. This can like lead to bitterness, emotional heaviness, but just like really the lack of inner peace, which obviously then you are no longer vibrating at the energy of love. So it's technically impossible to attract what you are trying to attract. So you have to let it go, as the Spirit's saying, because of that. And so also you might notice if you don't heal, you're like, okay, a lot of people project their bullshit onto me. It's like, what is that? And the Spirit says, because people again see what they look for. So you attract what you need. And if you're wounded, well, in whatever area that needs to be wounded, like whatever, that doesn't mean how the person's projecting, but it's how you react. So is what Spirit's saying. So it's all about um, pretty much in order for you to move forward, it's about taking time out. And again, in that sacred space, why again? Because in that quiet, you connect to the higher self. The higher self is the God part of self. That again, only in the now do you get divine guidance. And we all have claircognizance. When I say I don't have clear, everybody has it. Everybody has it. As long if you have a soul, you have a spirit, you have it. It's how we have discernment. That's how God kept us safe. Gave us the gift of spirit because we can't trust other people. It says be in the world, but don't become a part of the world because the world is evil. And the world is imbalanced. So we don't have control over the world. We have control over ourselves. And again, trusting is what we feel. And Spirit's saying it's about creating that. And if you grew up in that in an environment where you were kind of taught not to trust, and hypervigilance would do that to you from a mom or a dad, understand that that means all your habits and behaviorisms are built from that survival standpoint. So you're reconditioning that. And that's a big deal. You may not think it's a big deal, but it is. Because again, survival mechanism is to tap in to what another person feels, to how they look, like what are they, what is their tone, what is every little thing. This again goes off as a protective mechanism. So it's like the body is always in hyper sensitivity, and that makes a person emotional. It makes a person not grounded. It makes a person, if they have any wounds at all about feeling insecure, which if you grew up with a mom or a dad that again made you feel that way, well, guess what? Spirit's saying, yeah, this is all to help you heal that. Require grounding and being in the body and being in nature and doing everything that you can to be present, to be nature and to feel that close connection with the higher self is what Spirit says. And then as we see more nature and plants, so you might feel like, well, I'd like to surround myself with plants lately, or being called to get plants. And it's again, it's nature. It's a Spirit saying it's like it's grounding. It needs you to ground, and part of that is so that you can practice. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're playing an instrument. It could be you need to learn something new, or you're being asked to do new things. And the thing is, if you're meeting new people, impressions are important. So I'm feeling like, hey, you might be called to network, you might be changing a job. There's something that is requiring you to be more grounded now more than ever. And the reason why is because, hey, there's opportunity. See, karmic cycles repeat because we have the same habits and behaviorisms, and hypervigilance is not a good one, because it's like you're going to think people don't like you if you're not healed. Now, there's also different severities of it, but again, it makes you not present. And to be oversensitive is bad because you're also conditioning the nervous system. Remember, that root chakra is all major systems of the physical body as well. So we're talking about the endocrine system, we're talking about the skeleton system, we're talking about the nervous system. Those are all the systems that create support, like that support the body. Digestion system isn't in there, and I never understood why, because it's a system, but it's not like the bones. It's like these systems are the systems that like run the body, where I guess the digestion only functions the digestion. Nevertheless, it's still a center that needs to be open. That's where the pancreas is, and that's where the solar plexus is, and that's where our personal power is. So if that root chakra is off, well, it doesn't matter, Spirit says, then they're all off. Because again, the adrenal glands are right there. Well, hey, that person was walking around since they were born into family karma, and then they were living from that state of consciousness for a long time. They were ignoring things that happened, experiences that happened to them that made them feel a certain way about themselves. So then people tend to wear masks and understand it comes out within their behaviorism. So Cancer is kind of like the last stop on the boat, where Spirit says, hey, you've been living out of balance for a long time. It's like you're in physical form to learn and to manifest. So when we are healing things at the spiritual level, we're healing them at the psychological and the emotional level. You're only in physical form to learn and to manifest. What are you learning? That you're not separate from your creator. You're not separate from God. You're not separate from love. You're not separate from the universe. That's what you're supposed to be learning. And that love is a consciousness, all the higher consciousness characteristics that are derived from love, unconditional love, which is what we have to embody. But how do you do that when, hey, you need to forgive? You need to forgive, because it's like, hey, listen, grow up in survival mode, and I'm just trying to protect myself, but people project their shit onto me. It's like, so I'm continuously living in that environment, reliving that karmic theme that makes me feel like there's something wrong with me. And this is deep, because Spirit's saying, yeah, because that's what makes people feel inadequate, because they're coming from a previous consciousness lifetime, which would be, hey, growing up with your mother and father, and now you but you're still have all those habits and behaviorisms that are actually blocking you. And when we're talking about the root chakra, we're talking about money. When Spirit's saying go out in nature and ground and ground and ground and ground and ground and ground, maybe your money's getting affected. Where Spirit's saying it's making you feel a certain way about yourself. So Spirit says that's what's on the energy that needs to be cleared. Now we can see, let's see how. Let's look at we're going to do this a little backwards by looking at just the inner child wounds, because it's almost like, well, like, again, can't leave it like that. Now, who cares? You know what I mean? You know that the relationship's not going to be good with that energy, just not going to be good, because of how one would feel about themselves, because they keep creating the same types of experiences due to their hypervigilance. That's when you need to, like I said, rewire your brain. You live in a certain environment for long periods of time, it creates neurological pathways, which makes it automatic, which is why hypervigilance is dangerous. Because if you're in survival mode and you get triggered by some internal, which you thought, or external, some outside stimuli, then it's automatic. It's survival. So grounding and being out in nature and connecting to source is kind of like your only antidote. So you have to recondition the body and mind. It's a big deal. It's not a little deal. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, can you do it? Yeah, a lot of times it brings you to your path. You know what I mean? You're like, yeah, I'm on the healing path. And God says, yeah, that's what you do. You just turn those lemons into lemonade, because everybody knows that every master was a disaster. So don't worry about it. It's again because you were neglected. There was a lot of trauma. What did you expect growing up in that environment, huh? There was no love. That's what it felt like. Didn't mean that there wasn't love, but that's what it felt like, because you were continuously made to feel like you were unworthy, like there was something wrong with you, like, like you weren't good enough. And so again, the lies. It's again where the like lie, like it was like you had to hide who you really were because there was no nurturing. And understand that's when you have really angry parents, when you're growing up in trauma, like your mom that might have had the same trauma. That's ancestral trauma. And our great grandparents had that trauma. But God says, well, you have to also look at what was going on. Were they on a plantation? Were they persecuted? What happened to these people? It's like because God said I didn't make them that way. So was it an environment? What happened? What was the trauma? Because that'll help you forgive. Because you have a forgiveness block, and God's saying, as long as that forgiveness shit is there, that is not me. And it throws your energy out of balance, and it keeps you in a state of hypervigilance. Because again, you're not grounded. So again, spirit says trauma. It's like needs to be integrated. Further, you're not the lies. It's again, you have to reparent yourself. There's a lot of trauma here. Trauma is we have to recondition the body and mind. It's not a one and done. And it doesn't mean that it's bad. You gotta look at it. Everything's perception, you know. And so you might be like, I have all this, like, and it's like I have more problems than other people. And spirit says, I display my glory through the most broken. So I happen to like the cracks because I get to display my glory. So it depends on how you're going to choose to look at it and what you're going to choose to do with it. Are you going to turn the fear into fire, pain into power? What are you going to do with it? It's up to you, because you can say, well, I was conditioned in this environment. I was made like this is the reason why I wasn't loved. I was neglected. I was ignored. I was made to feel unworthy. And Spirit says, yes, ancestral karma. It's again, it's a horrible thing. But we saw why. That's a lot of reasons why. We don't even need to pull any other reasons why. Spirit says, but what are you going to do with it? Well, now we're going completely backwards. Because Spirit's saying, well, I'll look at the relationship after, but I don't really feel like the relationship is, it might not be on the top thing, for you right now. And it's not because of any. I think that you need to heal this hypervigilance, because you don't attract people that you don't like, that you like, rather. Like if there's a forgiveness block there, you're going to get people that betray you. You're going to get people, because again, forgiveness. It's like, you haven't forgiven that. Okay, let's give you more. And you're like, well, what the fuck? These people are projecting onto me. As Spirit says, yeah, you got to clear that. It's like, I'm giving you everything to clear it. No, it's making me more fucking angry. And Spirit says, yeah, it doesn't work there. Yeah, and know that you can make it go, because that's your frame of thought. Or you could also say, hey, it's not working. Let's do something different. It's like you're stuck. So Spirit saying, grounding, connect better to the higher self, God part of self. Growing up in survival mode, hyper vigilant, you might be psychic, but not when it comes to you. Or you may say, I can't read for myself. I read sometimes for myself. And Spirit says, well, I don't work part-time. I work full-time. I'm omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscience, God says. I'm everywhere all the time. I'm ubiquitous, including I'm inside of you. I work. You're not working. You're not okay. So you have to recondition your nervous system with hypervigilance. Like the reading is not going to be enough. That you have to do body mind medicine, you have to do yoga, you have to do breath work, you have to get out in nature, you have to be surround yourself with things from nature. Spirit says grounding, grounding, grounding. Each small step brings you closer to overcoming your fears. Be patient with yourself, Spirit says. We tend to like not feel like we're not moving fast enough. And growing up in an environment, Spirit says, where you're made to feel unworthy, you're made to feel like there's something wrong all the time. You also have a false sense of how long things take to actually manifest. You might be like, it's not happening. I looked about an hour ago and it's not happening. God says, look at the painter. They started painting at 2 years old and now they're a prodigy at like 12. It's like that was 12 full years of nonstop painting. That was a passion. God says, where's your passion? It's like that's the realm that you're co-creating with me at. Where is that? Hypervigilance can't be in the same energy as that, Spirit saying. So again, things take time. It's an unfoldment process. You're not in charge of how long it takes. God says, I'm in charge of that. You're not in charge of how long it takes or how you're going to achieve success. You're only in charge of listening to me and saying, this is what I want to create. That's why sometimes people and situations are not part of your plan, Spirit saying. Everything's, again, to help you transform, to integrate those, fragmented pieces of yourself. And the way that you do that is to love yourself. And believe it or not, just not love yourself, but release control. Understand that's the second chakra. We can go with the flow of life through the passion for life. It's again, your choice of focus is your greatest tool to succeed when you're a highly sensitive that was born in an environment that was traumatic, because your choice of focus is going to be like you can make sure that you don't overstimulate yourself, but you got to control it. And that can't happen if you're not grounded, Spirit saying. So this is all about healing right now, and it just to transform. And transform meaning you're going to see a different version of yourself. And that's big. So if you keep seeing yourself fail within work or miss an opportunity or feel like people treat you a certain way, well, guess what? If you're really present and really grounded, people are not going to perceive you that way. It's like they only perceive you the way mechanism. It's not cool to tap into other people too. They might just be in a bad mood one day, and then you're going to take it personally and then get overstimulated due to that. And that will then, then you're no longer present. Then you're no longer interactive. And that's when you'll notice you'll mess up on a job or like whatever it is. It's self-sabotaging behaviorism, which it makes a person not like who they are, make themselves feel as if there's something wrong with them. Like, well, this always happens to me. And the Spirit says, watch what you say about yourself. Because I understand that. It's again, you have to start in a place of love, and sometimes that's not easy to do if you grew up in an environment where you were kind of taught not to love yourself, because that's what it looks like in that story. And that's hurt people. So let's look at your person and see. Now, that doesn't mean that the person that you connected to doesn't have feelings for you. Love is still love, even if the person has bad habits and behaviorisms. That's why we do this, to say, well, what the hell are they thinking? Because why does it look the way that it does? Things got too intense for me, so I ran away from you because it was real. When it's phony and surface, it's easy. But when it's real, hey, now, you expect things of me then, which you might be like, I didn't expect shit from you. Person has feelings for you, right? And then they do things, but then they feel like they can't do things, and then they don't feel good about themselves too. They're gonna rely more on what they can do and what they can give instead of their time. And so this person's not very emotionally intelligent. Like, it was too real. I'm sorry that things didn't work out with us. I had to move on because I'm not ready now. So that's what it was. It's like the relationship, which like should have went the distance. Like a twin flame connection. Let's just say it was a real connection where this person knew they should have stepped it up, but they weren't ready for it when you came into their life. Let's look and see from a different deck. Sometimes I stay awake thinking about you. I'm afraid to contact you. So what it is that this person, when they had the chance to actually be with you, they weren't ready to be with you. And I feel like they ran around with a lot of other people. I feel like they did a lot of things to damage this connection. So, and it's like they weren't ready for the connection. They just didn't want it. They weren't ready. They might have been even connected to somebody else, or just had people in their back burner, people on the front burner, people everywhere, like where they just were not serious and not monogamous. And so, thing is, it's like, how do you return from that? You can't, right? Like, I mean, unless you're gonna come in and give everything. I mean, right? I mean, you can't really come back and just say whatever. And that's what I feel like. You know, the person's still attracted to you. It's not like they're not attracted to you, but attraction is not going to be enough for someone like you. Meaning, like, hey, if you wanted to do surface, then we would have had no problem. But you didn't want to do surface. And the thing is, as long as you were not going to do surface, they can't really be in a relationship with you. Now, the thing is, being with this person, like, brought up a lot of unresolved trauma. This person has a lot of unresolved trauma and they took it out on you. So trauma goes to trauma. Again, hurt people. So it's almost like this person grew up in like an environment that was similar to yours, and then dated and had shit relationships because, hey, that's what happens. So they don't really put effort in. That's what it looked like. They would like learn to live very detached and was like, I'm just going to have a lot of different people and just not get connected. So here it comes. Here you come along. They don't never like had a connection like this before. And so what happened is like, I feel like this person, I feel like tried to create an illusion, like that they wanted a relationship because, hey, it's not like they weren't attracted to you, but they didn't want the relationship. And what happened is over time, you were like, I like it was an illusion, like because never you never really wanted what I wanted, and you let yourself down. And that's what it feels like, that you were living an illusion. And it's like because the person like sold you that they wanted it. And they might not have said it, but it was like a lot of mixed messages and the connection. A lot was the fact that there was such a deep connection, and you thought this person, because they were nice sometimes and they were like that, it was only natural that it was going to go a certain way, because of the way that they were acting. But it freaked them out. It's like the more that they thought about it, the more it freaked them out. because it's like then they're thinking about marriage, not saying that you were thinking about it. Freaked out when things are like, wow, this is really, it's getting intense because it's real, it's deep. I have feelings. That gives you too much power. It gives you way too much power for a person that's not healed. So they created the illusion of it, and so maybe part of you knew that and you left yourself down. But what you feel like is that like this person ignored like your concerns, and I feel like this was like the first red flag, that it was like emotionally, I'm telling you that this bothers me and you're like ignoring it. Now I'm up with that a lot more growing up in the environment that you grew up in, feeling unloved. So a person giving this mixed messages, right? It's like sometimes they love again, and I can feel this connection, but when you're in the connection, they're not emotionally capable of giving you. So what it feels like is like you're not listening to me. And it's to understand it's they deliberately don't create the intimacy. Intimacy is just trust at its basic level. Like, if you're not going to show up for me, you're not going to listen to me. How much can I trust you, right? So that's what it felt like. So it was a red flag. And then what happened is over time you saw that it was dishonest, that this person had a lot of lies. Like they lied because part of them was like, I want to have my cake and eat it too. And you're a little naive. Like, it's not that I'm not attracted to you, but I'm not a good person. It's like this person, you can see that they're not a good person by like the way that they are. Now, you saw them through eyes that were like rose colored glasses, like that because you weren't judging them. Because people don't judge people when they first meet them, and there's an attraction and there's a connection. That's a spiritual one. That's actually normal. It's like, but this person never had that type of connection before, and they're wounded. So instead of them embracing the connection, they actually ran from the connection, making you feel like, well, that forgotten about, again, ignored, forgotten about. Like, again, you have attention for everyone else. Well, it was their way of trying to make you feel a little bit small. Like, why? Because again, they didn't feel secure in the relationship. So if you don't feel that secure with yourself, then you're not going to feel that secure within the relationship. I feel like this person did a lot of things to try to, have you lower your standards, like have you lowered, like, because it's like, it's not that I don't like you, but it's all this realness. And the realness could be it just you want to have a conversation, and the conversation's more than just a surface conversation. And that's the thing, you would want that with a soul partner, so like I said, this person just got freaked out. Now let's see on let's soulmate twin flame cards if there's any hints of anything. Yeah, like it's like I've never felt anything like this before. I knew it. The depths of it can be inspiring, but so overwhelming. So it's again like it's almost like it's too much, and they've been grounded all their life, which means survival mode. Um, and so they have a real hard time of trusting the spiritual elements. So it's like it's so intense, it's so real, but I don't trust it because again they're wounded. So like I said, they don't deny that it exists, they know that it exists because they can obviously feel it. So it's like fucking with them almost, like, because it's an oxymoron. It's like I don't trust relationships, but I want this relationship. I like this relationship, but it's too deep. It's like it's too intense, and that's because they didn't have they haven't. So it's like they'll question the and they will question you because hey, that's who they are. It's what they've gone through within their life. Again, I'm afraid this relationship is too good to be true. Didn't I just tell you that? And they pull away in fear. And that's what I'm saying. It's like this it's like a twin flame relationship. Like it's like, oh my God, it's so intense, but I can't handle it. What it is, I mean, we pulled that card twice, and actually, really three times, if you really want to see. And so again, the groundedness is, hey, they're very logical, they're very cerebral, they're very smart, but they're not when it comes to relationships. I feel like this person strategizes relationships. They can't strategize with you. And so what do you do with it? You know what I'm A nice, naive person. It's like it's a pure thing, and the relationship is that type of. And this person's not a pure person, so they're almost you know like taken by it, but it also freaks them the hell out. So again, that's an oxymoron. So I mean, they can't deal with it, but again, they feel the sexual energy, but that needs to be elevated to deep unconditional love. It's not, because they can't get they can't get close enough to build that emotional connection due to whatever their trauma was. Let's look. Let's just look at some of their wounds. Because it's not that this person doesn't have feelings, but if they're going to run from you, every single time. Well, again, the twin flame, there's always a runner and a chaser, but it eventually changes. Just we don't see it changing right now. What you see is like this person is like, I don't really know how to come back from what I did. It's like I realized now that knew that the connection, we always had a connection, but I thought that it was too good to be true. I didn't really believe that those connections could work. Problem is still thinking about you at night. They're still thinking about you. And it's like they've never dealt with anything like this before. So they're almost like, I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to come back from this. I don't know how to navigate this type of relationship. I can't, like, this is the energy, like blah, 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 blah. That's all, folks. That's what this person, they can't even articulate. And it's like this person's actually awakening, but there's challenges show up as confusion, emotional unveiling, and disconnection from their old life. And that's what happens when twin flame comes in, It's like it fucks them up, because it's like, I've never felt anything like this before. And now, is that the whole reason why? Usually when a person's ready for an upgrade and they've done work and they've outgrown other things, the twin flame comes in, because it's like, well, this is next phase. You're going to need this medicine that you don't have. And the twin flame has all the gifts that, the other person has wounds in, and vice versa. So it's like this person like is awakening, but it's also like they're not comfortable, because it's like, who am I? Like, what is this? This person was a player. You know what I mean? They were a player. They're someone that, never wanted or again, they're changing. And so that's again leaving them question, who am I? Who am I, and what do I truly desire, and what do I truly want for my life? Like this, like you contributed to that awakening, just so that because this person, like, I feel like they were just fine the way that they were. But like I said, it means that they did work in other areas of their life. But, if we've learned to survive in an environment where we were told that we were unworthy and felt unloved, all the energies that you grew up with, you're getting a twin that also grew up in that type of environment. They just learned how to survive a lot differently than you did. Very logically smart, analytical, grounding, like very grounded. We could see by all that sexual energy, right? That's a very open root chakra, very open root chakra. And to the point that it's like overactive, and that second chakra is overactive. So you know that they're going to be controlling, you know that they're going to be passionate. All these energies where you might be someone that's like, no, I'm very easygoing, and I'm, where spirit says you're root. Remember, this person's all about the groundedness. All about the groundedness. You're not grounded. You need, again, you need their medicine. They need your medicine. So you might be like, I hate this fucking person. Spirit says, yeah, that's about when the twin flame energy switches. The runner becomes a chaser. And the chaser becomes the runner. And because now you're like, fuck this, I don't want this. And spirit says, yeah, they have a closed heart chakra. Your heart chakra was wide open. So again, it's still going to be wide open because that's just the way that you are. But now them running after you, that forces them to open up their heart chakra. Their heart chakra was, remember, then you're not getting a perfect person. This person is ready to step it up. That doesn't mean they know how to do that. God says, I help, you help, the situations help, but they're not evolved. They're ready to do it. Gaslighting one. They grew up in an environment where they were, just made to feel like to not trust themselves, distorted sense of reality, often being manipulated. So again, growing up in an abusive environment, that it affected their mind. Again, made them not trust themselves, made them, again, have anxiety around relationships to the point that they don't like who they are. And they're very hard on themselves. So it's like, you won't like me. Once you get to know me, you won't like me. Shows up as constant self-judgment, doubt, harsh inner dialogue that just, again, that parents, and now they're doing it. So again, about their self-worth, what they can have, manifests as poor relationships, negative self-talk, relentless voice saying you're not enough, block growth, and sabotaging good everything, relationship success, everything, because again, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. So it's like this person chose for a long time to stay in that energy, but they had that overactive chakra, which is, hey, I am feeling like not worthy, but I'm not going to show you that. I'm going to have a big ego. I'm going to have a different person every other week. You're going to think that I'm so confident. And that's how you knew that they weren't that confident, because that overcompensation, where again, they weren't balanced. Where again, now they're like, I actually want that type of relationship. They're thinking about it. It's like, what do I really want? Because it's like, I thought I wanted this, but now I really don't want this, because it's not the way that they were living. They shouldn't want to live that way. That was out of balance. So it would take a twin flame to open up eyes, of this person's eyes. Otherwise they wouldn't, why change? You know what I mean? So on some level, this person wants to feel that way again. We know that. But are they there yet? No. Do I believe of him always comes back? It's not like they don't. It's just a process of, the ego, surrendering the ego. That's how you know that they really love. Surrender their ego, they come back, they apologize. But if you're smart, you don't make it easy. Spirit says, because remember, that person had a big ego. They're used to not having to do anything. So having to do something because they have feelings is like not heard of with a person like this. That's very logical, very analytical, and very cerebral. They didn't survive through that emotional. They protected themselves that way, so they're going to be more grounded, more strategic. So they don't know how to deal with their emotions. They don't know how to deal with that. That's a whole other animal all in itself. And of course, it's going to be so intense, just so intense, because it's emotional. And it's like, I don't know what to do with this, but they can't help but to eventually want it. And so Spirit says, so you can see why you would attract a person like that. It's like they make me feel like I'm not loved. They make me feel forgotten about. They make me feel not important. I don't care that they run from me. Like that they have feelings for me, they run from me. It's like so you would get to a point where you're like, fuck you. I don't want to deal with you. And Spirit says that's perfect energy for because that's when the twin flame comes back. Because hey, they have fear of abandonment. Remember, they were made to feel the same way that you were. So the moment that you're like that is the moment that they'll give you more energy. It's just the way that it goes. I mean, yeah, it's the catalyst. It's it's the spark, it's again because this person still has an intense connection. And the thing is that regardless of whether or not, part of them is to vibrate higher, understand that and to learn how to see things from a higher perspective. This person doesn't, was in the low vibe, survival mind. So Spirit's saying, and for you too. Again, if you grew up in hypervigilance, like my relationships suck normally. And Spirit says, yeah, they usually do. Or you get some energy that it's like, well, it can be so great, but then it's like that. Spirit says, yeah, it's going to be in balance. It's like, but the person, by you balancing out, well, then over time, everything tends to, fix itself. That everything gets refined, it's like because of that. What this person has left it right now, if you ask them, it's like I think it's just like kind of like a timeout. Be somebody that's on off with this person, or they might like you and then not do anything but still have a connection, and then you'll feel them disappear for a while and then talk to other people and then come back. So it's almost like this person's coming in and out, and not uncommon for twin flame relationship, by the way. Definitely not, especially one like this where this person's like, I don't want any part of it, where this is too deep, it's too overstimulating. It's again, but what they don't realize is you can't control love. You can't just shut it off. It's not one of those surface relationships. And that's what the problem is. This person's like kind of stuck. That's why I said the awakening problem is kind of like that. It's not like they're not awakening, but it's like, who the fuck am I? What do I want? I thought I didn't want this. But I didn't want this type of relationship. I said a long time ago I wasn't going to be in a relationship. I had a past relationship. Now this person comes in, and now what? Do I want this? Don't I want it? Who am I? That's what I feel like this person's like, and they don't want again because everything is like everything is like union of the opposites. It's like it couldn't be more appropriate. And Spirit's saying it's like, yeah, it's pushing them to transform. So that's what they're going through. If you didn't hear them right now, it's because they're transforming. You're not seeing them. They're like kind of like like when an eclipse happens, you're not going to see. You're not going to see, but eventually they're going to reveal it. But right now, it's like I said, you're not seeing anything. But what's going on is that they're going through an awakening. So they're kind of like in hibernation, but they're freaking out right now because it's almost like, again, who am I? What do I want? So you're not feeling anything. But what this person is, they're like, thinking about like the connection. Right as of now, they don't think that they can recover from it, that they can fix it. The Spirit says, good. That's what they should be. But eventually, the feelings that a twin flame has, they give in because, hey, love is love. Hey, I have nothing to lose anyway. That's what normally happens, with a twin flame. Yeah, again, I long for you. Like, again, this person is going to be like It's again, there's a lot of sexual energy there. Again, twin flame passion. Well, it's again that fire helps pierce through those blockages within that root chakra and within that second chakra is all about identity. The root chakra is again ancestral and connected to the physical body, but spirit's saying it's like when your twin flame comes in, it's again they make you stand to a certain level, first of all, by the way that they are, and and they work harder because there is unconditional love, but they're also going to be your mirror, and that mirror is going to show you everything that doesn't work, which is what the twin flame does, which you did when you walked into this person's life. It was like, this is everything that's wrong with you, everything that's wrong with you. And the reason why is because this person has feelings, for you. Otherwise, they wouldn't care. But when you love somebody, but then they're also this is everything that's fucking wrong with you. It's like it makes this person feel insecure because hey, they don't feel secure enough to be able to articulate. They don't feel secure enough. They don't feel good enough. They don't believe that the relationship is even possible. They think that it's too good to be true. But we see what we look for. Like I said, I watch you on social media. So again, their stalker is their way of, it's their way of being close to you. It's their way of like still kind of being in your life, even though you're not. I'm trying to leave my comfort zone with this issue. The problem is I don't feel deserving. And that's really like it goes back to this person judging themselves, that inner critic that's going to sabotage this connection if they don't fix it. It's again because they're not open. And that's what they're working through right now. Again, they're in their old patterns, but they don't see it. The old pattern is I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. But twin flame will eventually get it because, again, what happens is they're accessing past life wisdom and it's helping them to understand things with a new perspective and that they've had a past life connection with you already. They know that memories are starting to like resurface and eventually, not right now, but eventually. And so, this person feels abandoned by people and like they feel like people often like leave them, and that's why I said the moment that you cut this person, you cut the energy from this person, it's going to affect them. And where it's again, I feel like they're thinking about it a lot more now. This is this person's level of consciousness, don't get mad, but this person does not know how to come back into your life, so they're going to have this brilliant idea, and that's to try to bump into you and start a fight with you because it says our energy stagnation sometimes happen to break the stagnancy and help again. So it's like you're not talking to me, I'm not talking to you. This person doesn't want to seem vulnerable. Remember, the emotions, like they can't deal with them. And so what they're going to do is, because they don't know whether or not you have feelings for them or not, they're going to try and like bump into you. And they're going to try and like, say something or do something to try and get a reaction. And by your reaction, they're going to try to intuitively figure out whether you like them or not still. That sounds like the biggest asinine thing ever. But this is a person that's not emotionally intelligent. So remember, just because a twin flame comes into your life doesn't mean you're getting them like fixed, brand new out of the box. No, you're getting to build the bitch, because this person is like, they're going to do that. They're like, yeah, I know you probably would want me to like do it, but I can't do that because I can't seem too vulnerable. So I'd rather do this, which is like, and then if you like react emotionally, then I know you care. So even if you tell me to fuck off, well, that's good because, hey, you care. If so don't give the person any emotion when they come back. Make them have to say something because, again, They project their patterns onto and that's the thing. This person projects a lot of their patterns onto you, and then what happens is you can project your patterns onto them, and it makes it really difficult to see what's real and what's not. And that's what happens when two twin flames get together and they're not healed and they get imbalanced, and one triggers the other person, which I feel like that would kind of be a trigger. But this person wants to trigger you because they're like, if I can trigger you, it means like you still have feelings for me. And then, hey, then we can have a conversation, which is stupid. It's like, it's stupid, but and immature. I wish I could say what I really feel. Someday I will, but right now I'm afraid to be myself. So this is the best that they can do. It's again, so you're getting this person, but understand they're not, it's hard for them. They feel like they don't deserve your love. And they're worried that you'll leave them when they see who they really are. And I already said that. And that keeps on coming up. They don't feel worthy. They don't feel worthy. They don't feel worthy. And that's their wound from how they grew up. And so every relationship that plays out, which is why they act like the fucking player. That's why it's, again, they have a big ego. That's why they didn't give you time. That's why the relationship was too intense. And I can't be in that type of relationship that's so intense and give you the same thing that I give all these other people, which is nothing but breadcrumbs. But you're like, but that's what you wound up giving me because you didn't give me time. This person didn't know how to navigate the relationship. They didn't. So it's like, yes, they did, but it was almost like, I feel like they would say, well, I'm eventually going to give more. I'm eventually going to give more. I'm eventually going to do, but they couldn't. It's too much. It's just like I said, it was too much of an intense relationship. Again, please send me energetic support. Use the frequency of love to uplift me because I need your help, because I don't know whether you have feelings for me or not. So I don't know what to do. I don't know. Did I blow this connection? Did I not blow this connection? Do you want to talk to me? Do you not want to talk to me? It's driving them crazy, which is why what I said eventually, because love is still there. You can't control love. This person's eventually going to snap, but they don't know when that is. So I feel like this person's holding themselves back. They don't want to hold themselves back. But it's like, I don't know if I could even fix this. I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to talk about the past. I don't want to. So this person's still kind of strategizing. Like I said, that's their natural energy, to be more strategic, to be more cerebral. So again, you're probably not going to like the way that this person handles this, because you would want them to come back and have a conversation and to explain, and this person has a hard time articulating. They're not going to be able to do it, or if they do it, it's going to be half-assed. So emotional, because this person is banking on the fact that if you have feelings for them, you're going to get emotional, like mad, angry, sad. Give them nothing. Give them absolutely nothing, so that they have to articulate. Because if you always are reading then they'll never do it. The twin flame holds to a standard, and then the twin flame never takes themselves out of the energy, like, well, they can't articulate, so let me. No, spirit says, because hey, then that leaves room for them to be like, well, I never said anything, and to play games, because this person is that way to begin with. It doesn't mean that they don't have feelings for you, but old habits die hard. And so you want to have good habits in the beginning. So you have to say, like, if you can't have a conversation with me, then you don't need to be in my life. It's like, we can't be in a conversation. And you have to, again, I'm conflicted about whether it takes to be with you. You need to fix that before you're with me, because too many things, these feelings overwhelm me, and I become afraid and I run away because of it. Yes, we know. And so but what's happening is they're destroying the relationship, and they know it. Again, because the union energy needs clearing. So they're sorry, please forgive me, I love you, I'm grateful for you. But they need to be able to say those words to you in order to actually have you in their life. I mean, you have to make them like hold to that standard, and they'll do it. That it'll be painful for them, but they'll do it, and it'll get easier over time. Just the same way as, let's just say, you're not as grounded, so maybe you don't like to work with money, and your bank book looks like shit because you don't really budget it. You just kind of intuit it. And so Spirit says, well, being with a person like this, oh, they're going to make you budget it. That's the type of person that they are. Real ugly energy that you don't like. And it's like an energy that makes you feel broken because you don't work to fix it. So Spirit says, I'm going to bring in this energy for you. And it's like, and you having to do the work that they do so simply makes you feel inadequate, but it makes them feel strong, and they feel happy to teach you and hold the standard for what it is. You'd be like, well, that's a lot easier. They get to teach like math. Well, I have to deal with an emotionally retard, again, like an emotionally handicapped person. It's like nothing against the retard, I mean, but like that's what I get. And Spirit says, well, you're intelligent with that. Again, but you take it personally. It's like, well, I'm not supposed to take it personally. Spirit says, no, not with that person, not with anybody. You have to hold to a standard. So you don't know your worth. Again, knowing your worth is like, doesn't affect me, because eventually that person doesn't work. If they're going to stay immature, if they get aroused out of you, Spirit says, you can rise above it. Why? Spirit says, I'm making you into the best version of yourself. You think you can run an empire if you're going to be emotional? Maybe you're like, I don't want to run an empire. Well, do you think you could even run a household if you were? But understand, you may want bigger things in life and have to interact with other people, and the hypervigilance, it wouldn't be good. And tapping into this person because they're emotionally like, I'm not going to show you anything. Well, Spirit says you don't want to tap into that because that's all over the place, so you won't be able to read it. It's like, because it's like, or you'll be able to read this all the time, and then you'll get pissed off because you're like, that's all that they want. And when Spirit says that's not all that they want, so you're wrong. It's like, you're like, I know that they don't, but that's what it looks like. And Spirit says, because they don't know how. So you have to teach. You'll be like, why do I have to teach them? And Spirit says, because you never get what you want in a person. You have to be strong enough. Remember, you mirror your twin flame. You have to ask for what you want. You have to set boundaries. It's like you haven't done that. So people, again, you don't want to create the same thing. I'm giving you somebody that you're going to have to really do those things that are uncomfortable to do. But if they're really your twin flame, then the passion and the fire from it, the relationship heals you, believe it or not, because there is unconditional love. And what happens is you're like, this person's not going to do it. It's like, I've learned to, fill my own cup up emotionally. And then guess what? As soon as you do, then this person all of a sudden magically has no problem doing it. Why is that? Because it's unconditional love. There is no expectation. There is no ownership. But once there's expectation, because you never had it, now you're looking for it, you put unnecessary, tension on a relationship. And this person's an avoidant. And you're an anxious person because, hey, you were neglected. So again, the dynamic of the relationship is such to help you both heal the effects of that psychic trauma that you both went through in childhood. And there is love. It's just that's the way that it looks, Spirit says. And you're like, I don't like the way that it looks. The Spirit says, well, I don't really like when you get emotional and you get down on yourself, or what your bank account looks like, but we don't judge. Everybody has their wounds. You don't have to be with this person. Either way, they've learned the lesson, because you might say, I'm never going to be with this person. The Spirit says it doesn't matter, because you already learned the spiritual lesson. He already learned the spiritual lesson, or she already learned the lesson of needing to be more emotionally open. And so with you, but if it's a real twin flame, you're not going to be able to not be with the person, because there's a lot of passion there. There's a lot of, and this person's going to fight to get back into your life. And there's a little bit of connection. They're going to worm their way back in, because that's what they do, the Spirit saying. And the relationship was to help you transform. You have free will, but they're not ready yet. So you have time, you know, Spirit saying. And this is all about you not reacting and not caring, just kind of staying in your own lane, Spirit says. Again, knowing your own goodness, refining your character and overcome difficulties for remaining positive. You calm your heart and you illuminate your intellect by transforming your shadow into light. Consciously manifest good in and around you to improve the qualities of all, which is what a twin flame actually does, helps you do. And then Spirit says, manifestation of light, that you see the beauty in yourself. You grow and you develop your inner self in harmony with light and beauty, and you free yourself from the negativity, that your heart transforms, your intellect shines, and your inner light grows, which is what the twin flame actually helps us do, right? Spirit saying it's all helping you to like just revert back to your original energy of unconditional love. That's what the twin flame does. And it does so because it holds to a standard. But both parties are ready. They're like, I'm tired of whatever the energy is that is blocking you. Usually a person just is like, I keep seeing the same karmic loop. And they're just tired of that life. That's why people go through an awakening. But it doesn't mean that they volunteered consciously. They're just like, I'm tired of this experience. And then they want to, and then the universe brings them things. This person wants this, but it's like actually doesn't know how to handle it. And that is just a sign of somebody that hasn't done healing. So hopefully during this time, they're doing healing. But we know they're already have done healing when they come back and they've surrendered their ego, Spirit says. Then you know for a fact, because they're articulating to you, they're telling you exactly are the confession, the sorry, again, so that they show vulnerability, and also that they're singing. If you notice, players come back, they never say anything. It might be a lot of promises, but nothing is ever concrete. Or the player that like this person was, they never would promise anything. They would come in and they would insinuate, they would hint, they would say things to get a reaction. But having this person actually come in and say, this is what I want, and actually take the lead, where you're like not really putting in that much effort. They have to win you over, is what Spirit's saying. And by they come back, you're not going to have a problem doing that, because you're going to be like, I don't want this. And the Spirit says it has to be that way, because you would make it too easy for them to come back. And then all the work that was just done, we go poof, poof out the window. They just turn back into the player that they were. This again, what do you think makes a person change? No, you lost me, motherfucker. You lost me a long time ago when you did X, Y, Z. I'm not going to be with you, or you think you're going to be with me. You're going to buy me a house. You're going to buy me a car. You're going to buy me this. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. I mean, they have to put up with a lot of shit and work hard. If I can, that's how they realize, wow, I really love this person. Otherwise, they're so detached they don't even realize that they love you, and it's due to their trauma. And it's, again, you have to make it hard so that they're so busy running after you, they're not afraid. Oh, I don't have commitment problems. Where are the commitment problems? No commitment problems with this person. They're too busy running after you because they're like, this person's over it. They don't want me anymore. I lost them, but I'm going to win them back. I believe I can win them back. And that's the energy that it would have to be in order for them to form spirit saying. So that's why everything might be time. That's why the dynamic is the way that it is. And really, spirit says, and you need to heal too. This was about integrating that. Like, you can't be so hypersensitive. Now, it didn't say it in the cards, it did say grounding, but I'm telling you, body, mind work, breath work. You have to recondition your nervous system. You can't grow up in that environment and think that it's not going to affect relationships later. It does. And spirit says, and you don't want to come from that previous like mindset, because you'll recreate that type of experience is all. It's like, it's up to you. Do those things that is said in the beginning: grounding, grounding, grounding back in nature. All right, I'm going to leave that there. If you resonated, give it a like. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.